Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a reading for you using some cards that I've illustrated myself, and then I'll pull a few tarot cards as well. So the topic of today's reading is on nurturing new relationships that are entering your life. So I get the sense that maybe there's a few budding relationships, and by relationships this could mean friendships, business partnerships, creative partnerships, or even a romantic relationship. And so I get the sense that you've been meeting a lot of people recently and you're really not sure what direction to go or like which relationships you should be nurturing. So hopefully this reading gives you a little bit more guidance on that. All right, so our first card. We got Spiky Ball. Okay, so I get the sense that maybe some of your hesitance towards relationships has been kind of weighing on you recently, or maybe throughout your life you've kind of had this spiky ball attached to you. So I get the sense that you're someone who's very loyal and you really feel tied to someone once you've sort of made that commitment or made that connection. So this could really not be serving you because maybe you are thinking too much about future obligations and commitments when you first meet someone. And so the spiky ball is really weighing on that initial interaction because you're not really being open in the moment. You're really thinking about like, okay, if I agree to be this person's friend, like what is that going to mean on like a time commitment level, and like having to make plans, and like, oh, we live in different neighborhoods and like all this sort of stuff. And like maybe you just need to put that out of your mind and really just focus on connecting with someone in the moment. All right, so I get the sense that these relationships are going to be very rewarding to you, but there's something that's kind of holding you back right now from like actually getting the full value out of them and really allowing them to flourish and grow. Okay, incense. So I get the sense that maybe you need to really like focus and like kind of be gentle with yourself and maybe like think about these things in like a very intentional manner. So maybe if you're kind of like having like all these interactions, you know, this could be like really chaotic and like you have a lot of things floating around in your mind right now because you're really like thinking about things but like not being so intentional about them. So I get the sense that what this card is really telling you to do is like sit down and just like genuinely like reflect in a really like calm and rational manner, and like of course use your intuition as well. Like it doesn't need to be like overly intellectualized, but at the same time like don't just sort of like let life take control of you. Like you really need to be the one to like set your intentions for this. All right. And our next card, we've got Wig. So I get the sense that maybe when you come to an interaction with different people, you yourself are kind of like acting differently because maybe you meet someone new and you kind of think like, okay, what are they looking for out of this interaction? Or like, what are they looking for in a partner? What do they like in an artist? And so maybe you're putting on different wigs because you are trying to appeal to each person that you meet. So I get the sense that what this card is trying to say is like, maybe to not do that so much because like then it gives you like not the right sense of what relationships are good for you, because maybe you just get the sense that someone's like very passionate about you and really interested in forming a deeper relationship with you, but that could just be because of like the wig that you were putting on for them was maybe like giving them almost a sort of false hope, or you were kind of just like being a people pleaser towards them. And so even though maybe in the short term you feel like, okay, that interaction went really well and they really liked me, in the long term this could actually be stopping you from forming closer social relationships with people who actually like want you for you and like see your true self instead of just like the guise that you're putting on to try to appeal to them. All right. Butter knife. So I get the sense that maybe you're spreading yourself a little bit too thin right now. So maybe you've kind of been like going to a lot of different parties or networking events and meeting a lot of new people, and maybe you're trying to make plans with so many people all at once and like really trying to like go to as many events as possible, and you're like really trying to like get your social life rolling. But this could actually be spreading yourself too thin a little bit, because when you're trying to form like a really meaningful relationship, and like whether this is with a single person or even like with a group of people or maybe in a community, like sometimes you really have to devote a significant amount of time to that like one person or one group, just because to get to the next level in like forming that relationship and really getting some value out of it, you might honestly need to like really be committing a significant amount of your energy, maybe your creative energy if it's like a creative partnership, or like your time commitment. So like if it's a friend, like spending a lot of time with them in not necessarily too short a span of time, but like really intentionally trying to make them a part of your life. So I get the sense that what this card is trying to say is like, okay, you've met a lot of people and you like have a lot of cards in your Rolodex, but like right now it's time to lock in and really think about which relationships you're trying to nurture in the near future. Candle. So I think that this is kind of a similar card to the incense card of like really kind of being like meditative and really like dwelling and like thinking on what relationships are actually going to serve you. So really like putting intention into it. And then I think also what the candle brings is this sort of sense of like you're manifesting and you're really bringing the relationships into your life. So I get the sense that maybe if there's someone that you do want to spend time with, to be really intentional and think about like what you can do in order to facilitate this relationship growth. And this could mean like casting a spell and like putting your intentions towards this person, but it could also just mean sort of like opening yourself up to like thinking about how your lifestyle could be open to forming new friendships. So like maybe if you're someone who is trying to form relationships with people who are really creative, like really thinking about like how could I have the opportunity to like maybe have like a group drawing session, or if it's someone who's like into music, like maybe having some sort of musical improv jam sort of session. So really like intentionally creating a situation where these relationships could be nurtured. All right, so maybe on pulling a few more cards, like on like what the traits are in this other person or maybe group of people that will really show you that this is a relationship worth nurturing. Shield. Okay, so I get the sense that to some degree, this person or like group of people are like very like not quite guarded in a negative sense, but at the same time they do kind of have this shield up around their core. So they're not quite like this messy type of person who will just like share their deepest everything with like anyone that they meet. I get the sense that this person or group of people kind of puts on a little bit of a front as like their public persona, and then their like true self might take a little bit more time and effort to access. So I get the sense that maybe when you meet this person at first, you could maybe tell that there's like a little bit that's not quite being shown to the public. But once you start to really form that deeper relationship, it sort of like opens up, and it really shows you like almost a whole new like inner world to this person once you actually get to know them. So maybe like when you're talking to them in like maybe a public setting, it almost feels like you're standing at the gates of a castle. And then when you kind of have this like one-on-one hangout just between the two of you, or if it's like with a group, like maybe when you're really becoming integrated into the group, then it feels like you're kind of entering the castle and you're seeing like the many rooms within, and it's not just like you're looking on from the outside. Okay, bandage. So I get the sense that maybe when you talk to this person or group of people, like you really feel healed, and like you feel like these wounds that you've had kind of exposed are really kind of being nurtured and healed when you have conversations or interactions with them. So like maybe if there's something you've been really carrying around for a long time, and like it could even be something that's very visible of like just kind of like this bleeding open wound, is that maybe when they see it, instead of just kind of like ignoring it or maybe like digging the knife in even deeper, they really offer you a bandage because they see the places and ways in which you're hurting and they really want to help resolve that. All right, so then maybe a few more cards on how you can nurture these relationships and like the next steps for you to take. Mouse. Okay, so I get the sense that maybe you're kind of a timid person and maybe you struggle with taking the next steps in relationships. So maybe you kind of have this feeling of like, oh, well, I'll just wait for the right people to find me. And like, maybe you have heard this term of like your vibe attracts your tribe, which is true. You will attract certain people towards you. But like when it comes to actually forming a relationship or like a bond and a continuing like interactions with someone, like you actually do have to put in the effort yourself. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out for you long term, and like it might attract the wrong people if you're really waiting to just like have someone walk into your life, right? Like a really healthy relationship is a two-way street that's really built on both of you putting in the same effort. And then with a mouse as well, like as you can see, there's sort of like this little trap with the cheddar. So I get the sense that like there must be like an incentive or something. Like it can't just be this feeling of like, okay, we're just talking and like forming a relationship just based on like like just spending time together, of like just speaking and like being in each other's presence. Like obviously that's lovely, but I get the sense that there needs to be a little bit more cheddar to it. Like I get the sense that maybe you need a communal project to be working on together, and this could take the form of like maybe a saleable product of like you're trying to record something together, or maybe like make a publication together, or it could just be like an activity that you're working on. It could also be an event that you're organizing together, maybe like a workshop that you're facilitating, or maybe some sort of community project, like maybe like a cleanup activity in like some nature area, or some sort of thing that serves your community. All right, map. So then I get the sense that with the next steps for you, like you might need to map it out a little bit. So maybe if you're kind of this person who's just been like kind of like meeting people and like seeing where things go, like maybe it could be interesting if you tried to like really think step by step of like, okay, I do want to like recruit people to this project that I have, or you know, I really have this goal of like, okay, by the end of the year I want to have this art collective that I formed, or something where you really understand like what you actually want from this relationship. So it's not just like you're like seeing where things go. Like obviously there's a degree to that of like getting to know someone, but then when it comes to like what role someone has in your life, to really like make space for them and like have like a place and a role for them to fulfill. So in that sense, you've really kind of mapped out externally in the world like what these relationships are doing for you, and like what projects you're working on together. But then internally, you've also mapped out like who is this person to me, and like what are they providing to me, and like what am I willing to give them. All right. So now let's pull a few tarot cards, and this will be fun because I haven't pulled any tarot cards on this channel before, so hopefully that'll be interesting to you. All right, so we've got the Knight of Wands. Okay, so I get the sense that you know, to some degree you're kind of charging into these relationships, and like maybe you have this sort of assertiveness as well, and this kind of like burning desire to like form new relationships. So I think that people can really sense your passion. But then at the same time, like, you know, it could be that you're a little bit immature when it comes to forming these relationships, and people can also tell this. So maybe there's this sort of mutual sense of like calming things down a little bit, and like understanding that there could be some missteps along the way. So I get the sense that you shouldn't be putting too much pressure on yourself, because you need to understand that like the people that you're forming relationships with are kind of at the same stage in their development, and so they're not putting pressure on you either, and they understand that maybe the steps that you're taking might be like a little amateurish or like a little too excited. All right, we've got the King of Pentacles. So I get the sense that there's really like the sense of like creating something in the world, of like really kind of being grounded and really creating something together. So I get the sense that these relationships are going to be really built on like transforming things in the world to like better serve your community. So like I get the sense that maybe if it's some like, it could be like a community kind of like soup kitchen vibe, or like community fridge sort of effort, where like you're gardening together, or like really providing things to your community. Or like on the art side, it could be like you have collected a lot of these like raw materials that you've kind of sourced from, you know, throughout your lives, and now you're kind of maybe making this into like a sort of studio setting where people could be facilitating workshops and like really transforming these materials into pieces of art and like learning and growing together. And I get the sense that maybe this King of Pentacles is maybe relating more to the other person. So maybe this is someone who really like abundantly understands how to use materials, and they really have like a good understanding of like what you might need to execute a project. And then at the same time, like I think that they are maybe like kind of like a calm, contemplative person. And so maybe like they're not quite matching your energy exactly with this kind of like sense of like maybe you're rushing more towards them, while they're kind of like sitting in their energy of just like having a lot of creative potential around them. And then maybe you're kind of seeing that and really like seeing the ways in which you could be like transforming this into something and like sharing it with the world. All right, the Queen of Wands. So I get the sense that maybe this relates a little bit more to you and maybe your sort of like patience in some ways. So even though you might be kind of like rushing to form a relationship with someone who really resonates with you, I think at the same time you have this understanding that like to build a kingdom and like build these like creative efforts and community efforts, like it does take time to sort of like let these ideas brew and let these relationships grow so that you can find people to work with who you really trust. And I also get the sense that maybe you kind of really value like a sort of companionship with other people, and not always so much in the sense of like being like tied at the waist or anything, but sort of like respecting each other's independence and then coming together to work on things constructively when the time calls for it. So I get the sense that this relationship is not going to be that kind of like codependent kind where like you get really jealous of each other when you're spending time with other people, or like maybe you have to be hanging out like every single day of every single week. So like if there's an outing and like you don't invite the other person, like there's some falling out. Like I get the sense that that's not the type of relationship that this is. This is more like the sense of like you really both have your own worlds to yourself. But then when you come together and like bring those worlds together, it can really like create something beautiful and like something really strong. Okay, and then we've got the the Five of Swords. As you can tell, I'm not too experienced with tarot, like having to count them. But so I get the sense that maybe there's been like times in your life where people like didn't really value your gifts too much, and like there were these people that you were interacting with who like you didn't really resonate with that much. And so I get the sense that like maybe you've been burnt a little bit with like thinking about what a relationship can do for you, because you kind of have like seen that people just don't value you in that way. But I get the sense that this new relationship for you, like you're learning to value your gifts more, and because of that, like the people that you attract are gonna like resonate more with you and really understand what you have to offer. So I feel like in this card, right, there's like the two people who are kind of like not seeing the swords, and then there's one person who's like very happy and picking them all up. So I get the sense that this is you and then like maybe the people that you've had falling outs with in the past. So like they've kind of like thrown away these gifts and like abundant potential, and like maybe not just in yourself but also in the world too, of like oh, what is this junk on the side of the road? But then maybe you're picking it up and saying, well, this could be really a valuable art material for some sort of crafting meetup. So I get the sense that maybe you're someone who really sees value in things even if they've been discarded. So maybe this could also be you resonating with the other person. So maybe they've had those kind of similar experiences where they've kind of like been thrown aside, or like maybe when they try to talk to someone, usually the other person that they're approaching is like really dismissive of like, ew, like why are you trying to talk to me? Like I'm really suspicious. But you're like very open, and so when they talk to you and you're just like really gentle and nice and like you really care about what they have to say and like what their story is, I think that maybe this really resonates with them, and they really understand that you're someone who can really see the value in anything and like really recognizes a diamond in the rough. All right, and then we've got the Seven of Cups. Okay, so I get the sense that, again, like what I was saying earlier, is like there's just like an abundance of people coming towards you right now, and like so many people vying for your attention, and there's a lot of variety within them too. It's not just like, oh, it's the exact same type of person and it's like I don't really know who to choose between them because they're all kind of doing the same thing for me. No, like I really get the sense that like you're looking and you're seeing how like these creative partnerships or business partnerships with all these different people could really like steer your life down completely different paths, because they have such individual and unique things to offer, and these unique skill sets that could really just like change what kind of projects you're building in your career and like in your artistic practice. So I get the sense that maybe you like really need to kind of like think about like what exactly do you want, because there's so many different things that can be offered in this world, and there's so many things that you can do, like any sort of creative project that you can imagine, you can execute as long as you have the right crew of people around you. So I really get the sense that it's like, instead of just kind of having this airy, dreamy quality of like, oh, I could do an album, I could do a graphic novel, I could do a stage performance, like maybe it's time to like lock in and think about, okay, what do I actually want to do in the next year, and like set a solid goal, and then find the people who will help you execute that in the short term, because maybe you just have a little bit too much going on right now and you really need to like think about, what do I actually want? Okay, so maybe let's pull one more card from my deck that I've illustrated of like, what is like one sort of final closing thought on this situation that you might be finding yourself in. Mirror. Okay, what a lovely card to pull last. I think this is so very fitting. So I think if you're really conflicted about these social relationships that you're forming and like conversations that you're having, and you just like really don't know the direction of like where things are going, I think it's really important to remind yourself that interactions with other people are a mirror for yourself, and like for your desires and for these traits that are within you and for your creative potential. So like at the end of the day, even if there's kind of this like rotating a carousel of people coming and going into your life, and like you're meeting new people every day, and it's just like really overwhelming, and you're not really sure what to do with these connections and with these relationships, like to remember that at the end of the day, it is yourself and like you and your creative potential and your expression of yourself that really matters in your life. And so not to think too much about like these obligations that you have to another person. Like just because you say that you want to be someone's friend does not mean that you have to be like, you know, supporting them and even self-sacrificing in order for their projects to be successful, right? Like friendship is more the sort of mutually beneficial sort of growth and like wishing the best for each other. But it doesn't have to be like you sacrificing anything for them. Like at the end of the day, like a good relationship means that you're both growing together and you're both helping each other thrive. So I think that what this card is really trying to tell you is that when you come to a relationship with someone and an interaction is to like really think about how this conversation is like reflecting things about yourself and like maybe the questions that they're asking you, and like it's helping you realize new things about yourself and like things that they say, and then maybe you think differently of like, oh, that's so different than what I would have thought. Like that is pointing out new things about yourself and like maybe new possibilities for you. Like, oh, I didn't know you could think that way. I didn't like that kind of creative project really never occurred to me. So it's really opening up new possibilities for you, because the psyche as a mirror between people is not just like to reflect like your individual qualities, but it's to reflect the whole of the soul of like the infinite possibilities that you could embody, just like the potential within the human psyche. So I hope that this reading was a little bit helpful to you and maybe helped you get a little bit of guidance in your life, and I really hope you enjoyed watching it. As always, you know, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, perhaps in a reading or perhaps just in a regular video, please leave that at the question box that's linked in the video description. And if you'd like to support my work, please feel free to donate to the Ko-Fi link in the bio as well, because, you know, I really do appreciate the people who have donated to me. Like, I don't make a lot of money off of art or off of YouTube at all, and so like every dollar really helps, and like it reminds me that, you know, people do enjoy watching my content, and it really encourages me to keep posting. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.